Good morning, everyone. Welcome to LisaBug Yoga. We are in the month of December 2022, and we're focusing a little bit on foundations of yoga, foundational poses. And what I've got for you today, I'm going to use my small chair in two different positions. I'm going to use it with my hand on the back of the chair, and then I'll turn it sideways to use my hands supported on the seat of the chair. This is going to give us some modifications for our half series vinyasa in the sun salutation using a chair with a little less pressure on the wrists and shoulders, doing the poses down on the mat. So it's a nice little progression. I'm also going to be focusing on a flow of our standing poses, our warrior poses, with some twists added in just to bring everything in the body into nice alignment. So I'd like for you, if you've got a chair, to stand facing the back of the chair here so your fingertips are reached out toward that chair. And then walk yourself back enough to take a nice little downward dog supported on the chair. And just really let the shoulders relax, the back lengthen. And my knees are slightly bent, so we're not locking out the legs, but we have a gentle stretch through the hamstrings, through the calves, through the Achilles tendons, but really letting the shoulders go. And we'll just stay here for several breaths. Scoop your abdominals in. If you don't have a chair and you can turn around, put your hands on a wall, that typically will work as well. Or you can come all the way down to your mat and do a regular downward dog. And as you breathe, just focus your awareness internally on your body, allowing any distractions just to drift away so you're truly present here and now. Then raise yourself up and just slightly step in, maybe one little step. We'll take the right arm and reach it up. So we're going to take a nice thread the needle here in the standing position. As you exhale, reach underneath and look to your left. Feel a nice little stretch through your left shoulder and armpit, and try to balance out your hips. Then we'll do that twice more. Inhale, reach up. And exhale, reach through. This is a little different feeling than our kneeling thread the needle. Let's take one more. Breathe in. And breathe out. And breathe in to finish, reaching that arm up. And place that hand right on top of your chair. Lengthen your spine, reach open to the left. Breathe in. Exhale and thread the needle, reaching through the right. We stayed here a little bit longer on that first one last time. So just notice any changes you're feeling in your body on this side. And then twice more. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, reach through. Last time, inhale. And exhale. Then reach up to finish. And place both hands on the chair. Now we'll release the chair and inhale, come into chair pose. We'll sit the hips back toward the heels. Exhale and rise up and reach your arms back behind you. Pull your shoulder blades together. And inhale to sit. Exhale to rise. Do a few more at your own pace. Checking in, noticing how your hips and knees are feeling this morning, your back. Really opening up the chest as you bring the arms behind you. And one more time. And then come to mountain pose and step in a little bit closer to your chair so it's at maybe forearms distance away from you. We'll step the right foot back into high crescent lunge. So you can use your chair here for balance in lunge if you wish. So it's at a nice comfortable distance from you. Then we'll take the hands and reach them up and stretch and really spread your fingers. If that's uncomfortable for your shoulders, you can bring the arms at any angle here. And square off your hips. Notice a nice little stretch through your right hip flexor. And then we'll turn out to your right side and open out into warrior two. Now this first one doesn't have to be really big, but if you need to adjust your stride, you can slide that right foot back a little bit. And then we'll bring that hand to the chair and take a side angle pose. You can also bring the hand down to the thigh as well and really stretch this right side waist. And then we'll reverse that into reverse warrior, gazing up. We'll come back and forth between these two poses, side angle and warrior two or reverse warrior, 2 more times. No rush to get from one pose to the other. You can linger there as long as you'd like. Really stable through the legs. Nice heel to arch alignment in the feet. And then as we come back up, just take your warrior two. If you need help with the balance, you can reach to your chair, turn your body forward back into that crescent lunge, and then step the right foot forward. Back to mountain pose, shoulders down and back. Inhale, sit into chair pose. Exhale, squeeze the shoulder blades back. And then using the chair for balance, if you'd like, step the left foot back into crescent lunge. You can stay here, or we can reach the arms up, spread through the fingertips, square the hips off. Really feeling powerful in this crescent lunge. And then slowly open out to warrior two on the other side. So I just pivoted my back foot to plant at a 90-degree angle. Drop those shoulders down, pull your belly in, reach from fingertip to fingertip. Then using the chair if you'd like, we'll take a side angle, or hands can come down to support on the thigh. And then reverse your warrior, taking your gaze up. We're side bending from the right to the left. And twice more, side angle pose, a big breath in. And reverse warrior. One more of each pose. And then pause in your warrior two. Make sure this right knee is pulled back toward the pinky toe side of the foot, not collapsing inward. Then turn toward your chair. Lift your back heel up off the floor and step forward back into mountain pose. Now we'll use the back of the chair for our half series vinyasa. So make sure that your chair isn't going to slide out from underneath you because you're going to have a little bit of pressure on the chair. So hands or shoulders width apart. Take your feet back any amount so that you are in a plank. So if I just step a little bit, my body's at a slight angle. If I step back further, then I'm at more of an angle of a plank. Now, since the back of the chair is high, this is going to be a pretty upward plank. And then we'll bend the elbows and do a little chaturanga and press up. 2 more, bend the elbows, chaturanga and press up. 1 more, chaturanga, hold. Now your choice if you'd like to do an up dog is to straighten your arms and extend your spine with a little back bend. If that doesn't feel okay for your lower back, just stay in chaturanga and then push up and come into that down dog. So my hips are going to go way back and lengthen through the shoulders. So what we're going to do is apply a flow with this. So we come back up, shift into our plank, bend the elbows, chaturanga, maybe extend the spine into standing up dog, then push the hips back into down dog. And one more time, come up, forward to plank, bend the elbows, chaturanga, option spinal extension, and press back to downward dog. And then as we come up, we just walk the feet in towards the chair, back to our mountain pose. So let's take that same half series vinyasa now and turn your chair sideways. And again, make sure it's not going to move. Our plank is going to be much lower. If you're not up for this today, keep your hands on the back of your chair. So what we want to do is come to a place where we can be in a plank with our hands down on the chair here. So it might take you a couple of tries to get yourself in the right position so that you can also be in the correct spot for your down dog. So once you feel like your feet are the correct distance from your chair, we'll come to plank. Bend the elbows, chaturanga. Optional up dog, lifting the chest, dropping the hips, spinal extension, and then press back to your down dog and stretch through the shoulders. Let's do with that with the breath, with the flow. So inhale, come forward to your plank. Exhale, bend your elbows, are close to the rib cage. Inhale, up dog, lift your chest forward. Exhale, back to down dog. And one more half series flow. Inhale, forward to plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. And then let's take the feet and walk them back up towards the front to the top of your mat. Come into mountain pose. So now as we flow through those poses we did earlier, we're going to have the option to use our chair for a half series vinyasa. Let's inhale to chair pose. And exhale, come up, bring your arms back behind you, squeeze the shoulder blades. And then we'll step the right foot back, come into high crescent lunge. If you feel like you still need the back of the chair for balance, you have that option that we did before. And then we'll slowly open out into warrior two. So I'm pivoting that right foot on the floor, lengthen through fingertip to fingertip, tighten through your abdominals, drop your shoulders down and back, and take a side angle pose. You can go lower to the chair here, or again to your thigh. And then bring it up into reverse warrior. And two more of each pose. Stretch out side angle. And rise up, warrior two. And then reverse warrior. One more time. Building heat in the body. Stretching and lengthening. Come back to your warrior two. Hold, gaze over your left fingertips toward your chair. So from here, we'll flow through our half series vinyasa. So we'll cartwheel the hands to the top of the chair and then step your left foot back so you're into plank. Bend your elbows, chaturanga. Lengthen the spine into your up dog. Press back to downward facing dog. And I had to walk my feet in a little bit closer, so you might have to do that as well so you're in the right position here for your down dog. And then we're going to lift the right foot off the mat and balance here. So this is our three-legged dog. I have my back foot pointing toward the mat. And then take a step forward with that right foot to come into your crescent lunge. Release the chair and reach up. Again, arms can be lower or even pressed at your heart center for your own shoulder comfort. And then we'll open out to the left side into your warrior two. Maybe lengthen your stride a little bit by sliding that back foot back. Check your alignment, making sure this right knee is stacked over the right ankle. Drop your shoulder blades down, pull your abs in, and then take your side angle pose. Maybe you're using the chair. And I'm bringing my arm here into extended side angle. Traditional side angle is facing the arm right up toward the ceiling. But I love that stretch, bringing it closer to my ear. And we'll rise up into reverse warrior. The left hand can also wrap behind your back. Sometimes that feels nice. And we'll do these poses twice more. Reach into side angle. And everything from your belly down is really stable here in these poses. So we're only moving from the side waist up. Really strong and stable through the legs. And then finding your warrior two. Gaze out over the right hands. Then we'll cartwheel the hands down toward the chair, pivoting and step back to your plank. So take your time to get into that right position for you for plank. Bend your elbows, chaturanga. Drop your hips, lift your chest, up dog. Press back to downward facing dog and hold here. Now when we use the chair for down dog, you should be able to get your heels to come down to the mat, but if they're floating up, that's okay. If you need to bend your knees a lot, that is all right too. So now we lift the left foot off the mat. We're balanced into our three-legged dog. I don't have a lot of pressure on my hands here, so it's not too bothersome for my wrists. And then step the left foot forward toward the chair. The right foot follows. And we rise up to mountain pose. So I'd like to use the chair one more time today for our live class, but if you want to push it away and use your mat, you're ready to use that, that's entirely fine. But I'm going to use the chair one more time for one more round. So let's inhale to chair. Exhale to rise back up, squeeze your shoulder blades back. Now we'll step the left foot back, coming into high crescent lunge. So on our last round, we started with the right foot. So now we're starting with the left. We'll open out into warrior two. Lengthen, lengthen. Check your form first before you rush into your side angle. And then either using your chair or your thigh, come into that side angle pose. Into reverse warrior, we have 3 rounds. Maybe you're going a little bit deeper in the poses this time. And one more time. Back to our warrior two. Gaze over the right fingertips. Start to cartwheel the hands down to your chair. Your back heel lifts up off the floor. And from here, we find a plank. Really steady. Head is neutral. Bend those elbows, chaturanga. Drop the hips, lift the heart, up dog. Only if that feels okay for your back. And press back into down dog, adjusting your feet if you need to, forward a little bit. Then lift our left leg off the floor, 3-legged dog. Toes are pointing down, the leg is active, the foot is flexed. Step the left foot forward toward the chair, come into high crescent lunge. Any position of the arms. Then pivot open to warrior two. Adjust your stance wider if needed. Check to make sure the shoulders aren't shrugging up. Pull this knee back. It's in nice alignment. And then 3 times between side angle and reverse warrior. Maybe flow with your breath. One breath, one movement. One more time. Arriving back in our warrior two, gaze over the left fingertips. And then cartwheel the hands. Step back to plank. One more half series vinyasa, bend the elbows, chaturanga. Lift the heart up dog. Press back down dog. Really let those shoulders open up in a comfortable range of motion. Lift the right leg up, three-legged dog. Step the right foot toward your chair, the left foot follows. This is our forward bend. And then rise up, inhale. Exhale to mountain pose or palms at your heart, samastitihi, balanced tension position. So we are going to go through the exact same sequence. Your option is to continue to use your chair, or you can move it out of the way to do this complete sequence down onto the mat, which will include your plank, your chaturanga, and your cobra or up dog. So starting from the top of the mat, mountain pose. Inhale to chair. Exhale, slight squeeze of the shoulder blades together. Step the right foot back, high crescent lunge, reach. Open out, warrior two to that right side. Make any adjustments. Inhale, side angle pose. Exhale, reverse warrior. Or any other breath pattern that feels okay for you. Twice more, stretch. And reverse. Last time. Come back to your warrior two. So now that we're using our mat, we need to bring the hands all the way down to the floor. So we'll cartwheel, left hand and right, step back to plank. Now when we're using the mat, we can always drop the knees down in our plank, which we can't do that necessarily on the chair. Then we'll come into our chaturanga. And here we can take a baby cobra, which I really like on the mat. So I'm not really pushing with my hands, lifting the chest and the heart. Legs are really active. Chin is slightly tucked. Then pressing up, an option is to take a child's pose here on this first round. Or tuck the toes, lift the hips, and come into your downward dog on the mat. And just notice which is the best one for you today, and I want you to take that and feel absolutely fine with it. And then if you're in child's pose, come up for a quick down dog, and we'll all lift that right foot up into three-legged dog. Now stepping forward to a crescent lunge is a little harder here. So as we step forward, if your foot only makes it halfway, you can grab that ankle and help bring your foot forward and rise up into your crescent lunge. Another option for crescent is to have the back knee on the mat. And we'll open out into our warrior two to the left side. Stretch through the fingertips, find good alignment, then 3 rounds of side angle to reverse warrior. If you only want to do 1 round, And take it slower, that's fine as well. Just really listening to your body today, making this practice yours. And settle back into your warrior two, lengthen through the fingertips. If you're using the chair, your hands will go to the top of the chair. We'll cartwheel the hands down to the mat. Press back to your plank or kneeling plank. Bend those elbows, chaturanga. Coming down, taking that baby cobra or an up dog here, if that feels okay for your spine. I'm going to stay with the baby. And then pressing back to either child's pose here and remaining a couple breaths, or tuck the toes, lift the hips, come into your down dog. Take a second to check in. Bring your awareness back to the breath. If you're in child's pose, come to down dog. We'll lift the left leg up into three-legged dog. My hips are still squared here, so I'm not rotating my pelvis. Then we need to take a big step forward with the left foot. If you need to give it help along the way, grab it with your left hand, step it up. And then your right foot follows. We're in the forward bend. Hands on the mat, blocks, or on your chair. Then we'll inhale and rise all the way up. Returning to mountain pose and exhaling. I hope we're doing good. We only have one more round, leading with the left leg. So let's inhale to chair pose. Utkatasana. Exhale, coming up. Open up the heart. Step the left foot back, high crescent lunge. Reach, or arms can be at heart center. Hips are squared. Open up warrior two, planting that left foot down onto the mat at a 90-degree angle from the heel of the right. And then we side stretch. Inhale. And exhale. And two more. I just realized on the round we did before this, I forgot to do the right side. I might have to work that in twice on this one. We can do that. Return to your warrior two, lengthen out through the fingertips. Prepare to cartwheel down to your plank, hands come to the chair or to the mat. Step back to your plank. Bend those knees, chaturanga. I must have done it on the right side. Are you telling me in my ear? I did do it on the right. Yes, I must have, because that would have been our first step. All right, we're good. We're good. Push back to child's pose or down dog. If you're in child's, go ahead, tuck the toes, lift the hips, come into your down dog, or you're using your chair for down dog. And then we lift our left leg up into that three-legged dog. We need to take a step all the way toward the top of our mat. Helping it along the way if we need, come into crescent lunge or kneeling lunge. Open out, warrior two. Drop those shoulder blades down, find good alignment. And we move from side angle to our reverse warrior 3 times. And with the breath, 2 more. Really solid in the lower body. Last time. Returning to our warrior two, prepare to cartwheel down to your mat, left hand or to your chair. Step back to plank. Our final half series vinyasa. So you choose from the knees or toes, lowering down into your chaturanga, taking your baby cobra or up dog, and pressing back child's pose or down dog. And our final transition, we'll lift that right leg up. Step it toward the top of your mat. The left foot follows. Forward bend. Soften the knees, rise up, inhale. And return to mountain pose, our balanced tension position. If you feel comfortable, close your eyes for just a moment, recheck in. And just notice the energetic properties of that flow. Maybe the body feels warmer, the heart rate is elevated, the mind is a little clearer. And we'll take 2 more breaths here. And then we'll transition to seated, and you might need your yoga strap. So grab that, have it at the ready. And we'll move into a seated flow of poses that involve twists and hamstring stretches. So you can sit any way that feels comfortable for you on the mat, nice long spine. Sitting up on the sitting bones, you might need to adjust some flesh just to get that nice contact of the sits bones. Try not to sit slumped. So if when you're sitting upright, there's too much pull on your hamstrings, you can bend your knees a little bit. You can even roll a little towel under your knees so you can get that nice alignment with the upper body. And let's just try a little hamstring stretch here. So you can use your strap to pull yourself forward. If you don't have the yoga strap, you can press from the back to lengthen yourself forward, or just place your hands next to your thighs. It's also sometimes nice to sit with your feet under your chair, and then you can support yourself right here on the seat of your chair. And let's remain here for about another 15 seconds, just lengthening the backs of the legs. And we should feel pretty free right now because we did a lot of down dogs, which lengthen those hamstrings as well. And then if you're using your yoga strap, we'll release, rise back up. If we put our hands next to the sides of the body, this is known as staff pose, Dandasana. Spine is lengthened, shoulders are drawn back. We're really lifting and lengthening through the crown of the head, and the legs are really active. So I have my toes pulling up, so I'm firing the muscles of my shins. So this is more than just sitting. There's a lot of action and muscle activity going on here. And let's pull the right knee in toward the chest and try to set your foot completely flat. Now this foot doesn't have to be all the way into the glute. Depending on the range of motion you have in your knees, find a comfortable position here. Now walk your foot away from your left foot, maybe about a fist distance apart. So I'm putting my fist in between my left knee and my right foot so that my legs are a little bit wider from the east to the west. And from here, we'll stretch forward again into that hamstring stretch. So maybe using your yoga strap, lasso it under the bottom of the foot, pull it back. And the action I want you to have in this right leg is to pull your knee in toward your tricep of your right arm or your shoulder if you're more forward into that stretch. So we're not letting our leg open. We're keeping that inner thigh connection and pulling the leg in toward us. And as best as you can, try to keep a pretty neutral spine. It's not really important to get your nose down to your knees, so extend through the crown of the head and just fold at your comfort. We'll take one more breath here. And then as you come up, if you have the yoga strap, I want you to hold it in your left hand. So it's the same hand as the leg is extended. And let this right knee now open out into our seated tree. And then turn your body toward the bent knee side. So I'm rotating my torso and take a little side stretch over. Try to keep both sitting bones down. If you're more upright here, that's okay as well. Just lengthen through this side waist. And then we'll inhale back up. Close this knee back in. Release your yoga strap, and we'll twist toward this bent knee. So I'm going to wrap my left elbow, the crook of my elbow, around the outside of the knee. You can bind your hands right here. You can wrap this hand behind your back, or you can just place it behind you, create a second spine, and then look over that right shoulder. Now still activate your left leg. So pull your toes back toward you, fire your quadricep muscles, your shin muscle. One more breath, inhale. Exhale completely, and then release that twist. We'll take a counter twist to the other side. So our body turns as far as we can to the left. I'm just placing my right hand right across my left shin a little bit to get some leverage. And keep hugging that right knee in toward your shoulder. So you have that action with your inner thigh. One more breath, inhale. And exhale. We'll come to that neutral position and slide this right leg back out to straight. Take your forward fold one more time with both legs extended out. Just 3 breaths. Noticing any difference you feel from the right side of your body to the left. And then rise back up. Bend your left knee in toward you, and then walk this foot to the left side of your mat, at least a fist distance apart from your right leg. And then we'll stretch over this right leg again. If you need more room to get your shoulder to come in here, then even walk that left foot out a little wider. Hug that left knee in toward your chest, and take this hamstring stretch, 3 breaths. Now, if you're really contracting this right quad, it's going to help you stretch the back of your leg. You might even feel your heel lift off the floor. One more breath. And if you're using the yoga strap, keep it in your right hand. Come up and open your left knee out. So my sole of my left foot is coming into the inner thigh of the right foot. Turn your entire torso toward the left, toward that bent knee side. Then take any amount of a side stretch. And there's some folks that might be able to get the left fingertips to come all the way down toward the big toe. So you can take that yogi toe lock if that's you. Maybe in my younger days, but that's okay. And then we'll inhale to come back up. Release the strap, close the left leg in, and we'll prepare to twist. So sit really tall. Bring the right arm to cradle the left knee. Turning your body to the left side, your left hand can wrap behind, or you can place it down on the floor to create what we call the second spine by pushing down into the mat to help you really lengthen upward. And your gaze is as far over that left shoulder as you can. 3 breaths. And align your spine back to neutral. And we'll counter the twist the other direction, turning to the right. I'm just going to place my left hand on the outside of my right leg, my right hand behind me to rotate the opposite direction. And make sure you're hugging that left knee into your body. One more breath. Come back to that neutral position. Extend your left leg straight out. And we'll take one final hamstring stretch forward with or without your yoga strap. Noticing any difference between the right side and the left. 3 more breaths. And rise up. Take your time to come into a reclined position onto your back, preparing for a bridge pose. So what's really important with bridge is that our neck is neutral. So when you lay on your back, if your chin is tucked way back and it's reaching up to the ceiling in order to get your head on the floor, put a little bit of something behind the back of your head so you have this nice long neutral cervical spine. Walk your feet pretty close to your glutes. Press down into all 4 corners of the feet and just do a little pelvic tilt. So I'm not lifting up into bridge yet. I'm just tucking my buttocks under and pressing my low back down to the mat. Then release that pelvic tilt and come back to neutral spine. So if I put my fingertips right on the front of my hip bones here, it's called the ASIS. When I do the pelvic tilt, my hips come up toward my body, a little closer, so it decreases the space between my lower rib and the frontal hip bone. Then when we release to come back to neutral, the front of my hip goes away from my rib cage. Let's do that one more. Pelvic tilt, pelvis comes up toward your ribs. And neutral, hips come away from your ribs. Now we'll do that pelvic tilt and hold that little tilt, then lift up any amount into a bridge. And I just want you to stay wherever you feel comfortable in bridge, and imagine that you're pulling your feet toward your glutes. This is going to allow you to tighten the backs of the legs. But do it carefully and slowly so you don't get any cramping going on in your hamstrings. Now you're either staying as you are or interlace your hands behind your back, and then you can rock a little bit side to side to get your arms underneath your back and lift your chest up a little bit higher so you're actually on your triceps. Your shoulder blades are pretty close together and your heart is really open. Perhaps you can walk your feet in just a little closer to you now and lift the hips way up. Wherever you are in your bridge, we'll hold 5 more breaths. Try to keep your hips even so we're not lifting higher with one leg than the other. Neck and throat are relaxed. And we still have some abdominal connection here. So keep your abs engaged. 2 more breaths. And then we'll come out the way we came in. So we'll separate the hands, then separate the shoulder blades so we come back onto a flat back. We roll down one vertebra at a time until we're in that pelvic tilt. So the frontal hip bones are close to the rib cage. Then return the spine back to neutral and hug the right knee into your chest. So as we hold this nice back release, you can keep your left leg put on the floor, or you can slide that leg out to straight. This is our wind relieving pose. I'm going to give you two options just to stay here, more of a stretch. We can make this a little bit of core work. Lift your head and your shoulders up off the mat, bringing your nose up toward your knee, and release your hands, reaching your fingertips out toward the extended leg, and take 3 breaths. And then lower that head and shoulder back down. Set your right foot to the mat. Hug your left knee into your chest. Your foot should be flexed, and the lower back is really compressed down to the floor. You can stay here or slide your right leg out to straight. What this is going to do is release your hip flexor a little bit, which is really nice. And we always need that. We can stay here for more of just a stretch and a restore, or work the abdominals, curl your head and shoulders up, reach the fingertips away, and breathe. And then we'll lower head and shoulders down. Place your left foot down to the mat. Bring your right knee back into your chest. Flexing that foot will rotate the knee out into a figure 4 stretch. And just press this arm away from you, just where your arm presses the knee away from you a little bit. And then bringing both knees up toward your chest. To stretch that right hip, you can hold the outside of the leg. You can reach through the window and lace your hands around your left hamstring. Or again, we can work a little bit here through the core. You can curl the head and shoulders up, pulling those knees in close, release, reaching the fingertips out, and we'll take 3 breaths. If this bothers your neck, you can also do this by placing a little bit of support behind your head and still working your abdominals. Relax the head and shoulders down. Relax the feet to the mat. Place the right foot down to the floor. Bring your left knee up into your chest. Flex the ankle. Cross that left ankle over the right leg and take your left hand and slightly press your knee away from you. Then pull those knees up to the chest. Again, you can hold outside, reach underneath, pull toward you, or use this right leg to push the left leg toward your chest, curl your head and shoulders up, and fire your abdominals. Now, as we're breathing here, we want to press the belly down toward the mat as we exhale. One more breath. Relax head and shoulders down. Come out of your stretch. Walk your feet close together and let your knees open out into Supta Baddha Konasana, our reclined bound angle pose. Just allow your legs to feel really heavy and let everything go through your hips, through your inner thighs. And close your eyes here. Now, on occasion, this position will give people problems in their lower back. So if this isn't feeling okay for you, you can try modifying the distance your feet are from your pelvis. Try to change that a little bit. If it doesn't give you relief, then bring your knees back together, walk your feet out, and let your knees touch toward the center and do a medial rotation of your hips. And we'll be here a while, so I want you to feel comfortable in this pose. You can also just straighten your legs out, coming into a traditional Shavasana. Now we'll use a contract release technique. So think about where the outer thighs are in relationship to the floor. And I want you to push your legs wider by contracting your glutes and try to reduce the space between your legs and the floor. And hold 3 breaths. Doesn't have to be a strong muscular contraction, just enough to fire those muscles. On your third exhalation, completely relax that tension, soften through your hips. Now, at any time, if you need to do a little butterfly, you can close your legs together and then come back out. We'll do that contract release technique 2 more times. So push your outer legs down toward the mat, squeeze your glutes, hold 3 breaths. Your third exhalation, release the tension in your hips, soften. If you'd like, you can close and open your legs 1 more time. And our final round, contract those glutes, press the outside of your thighs toward the mat, hold 3 breaths. On your third exhalation, relax any tension in your hips. And either hold here as you are, or you can slide your legs out to straight if that feels more comfortable. Coming into a traditional Shavasana. Then we'll come into a 3-part breath. And sometimes it's nice to place one hand on your belly, the other hand on your heart, so you can actually feel the movement of your torso as you take these breaths. So we'll take about a third of an inhale and let the belly rise. A little bit more and let the rib cage expand. A little bit more, the heart lifts up toward the sky. Then release it in 3 steps. The heart drops. The rib cage funnels in. And the belly lowers toward the spine. So on your own, for about a minute's time, come into that 3-part breath. You can do it with the hands just relaxed on the mat. We inhale belly, ribs, heart. Exhale heart, ribs, and belly. On your own. Taking that maximum inhalation and complete exhalation. Two more 3-part breaths. Once you finish that last 3-part breath, just return to a normal breath flow. And deciding which side of your body you'd like to roll to, take one arm and reach it above the head. Bend your knees, drop them over to that same side to roll into a sideline position. Take your time to use the strength of your arms to press yourself up. And come to simple sitting pose or easy seat. Simple cross-leg pose, lengthen the spine. Close your eyes for just a few more breaths as we check in, pressing the palms at heart center in our Anjali Mudra. It's a sign and symbol of gratitude, honor, and respect. When we come into this mudra to honor our hard work today and dedication to our yoga practice for the health of our mind and body. And the light and joy that reside within me, honor the light and joy in each of you. Namaste. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. If you need to go, I'll see you next time. Maybe send me a text, let me know how your body felt today. If you can stay along for a few more minutes, I'd love to chat and see how everybody's doing today.